Hello, I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And this is day 3 of my 2019 Whiskey Advent Calendar, which I am tasting blind and trying to figure out what's in the glass. So I've learned a lot in the last year, and so I've been gaining more experience tasting different whiskeys. But beyond personal experience with tasting, one thing that trains me a lot and gives me lots of information and education is good YouTubers like Scotch Test Dummies. I'm sure you can't see the glass here very well, but they like Scotch, they like bourbon, they like all sorts of spirits, and they give very good reviews and with lots of information and lots of insights. And who might like them and who they're for and things like that. Because I got a few coins from some of the other YouTubers. I've got No Nonsense Whiskey challenge coin here. Vin PF is a very practical fellow and knows what he likes and doesn't want to overpay. He's in the UK, he's in England, and he gets lots of scotches. He gets lots of samples. He arranges for small things to come to him, and then he'll know whether or not he wants to buy the big thing. And the other coins I have here are from It's Bourbon Night. They are Chad and Sarah in Kentucky, in Lexington. And they have a Kentucky coin and they have a Texas coin. And I've met them a couple times and they're interesting. They are so steeped in the bourbon culture, it's amazing. They know what they're talking about with bourbon. And they can teach others, and they have taught others. So they have a huge following. Their live streams are getting up to 350 people, which is just amazing. They're huge. So you can learn quite a bit from these YouTubers, and I'll put links down below in my description here. So if you like what you're seeing on my channel, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment down below, leave a question, and we'll interact a little bit. Yeah, I'm still getting used to this huge wampin box, which is it's twice as big as the box I got last year. And I just wasn't ready for it on my tiny little set here. But I need to break into day 3 and find that bottle. And I had a surprise on number 2 because it was oblong and it was not hard to see the label and start reading it. And that's not how you do a blind tasting. But number 3 is just a little tiny hole where you only see the cap. So I'm pulling it out here, and it's about to go into the Scotch Test Dummies glass. So, ooh, that's a good looking light color. A little darker than the usual uncolored Scotch. But I don't know what this is, so I could be using the wrong standard there. So I'm going to put this bottle in a little lens shroud, lens hood, so I can't see it. And put this huge wampin box back and get it out of the way. I'll put a link to the retailer that I bought this from, which is Muazzo in the UK. They shipped it to me. And if you want to buy some of these as gifts or to challenge yourself, that's a good way to do it. So, what do we have here? Ah, it smells scotchy. It smells a little funky. So I'm thinking it's coastal or a Dunnage warehouse. I'm thinking there might be a touch of peat. Could be smoky or it could just be so much funk. I'm confusing. I don't get the best clues from my nose, so my palate will be much better. But this is gonna, I think, Scotch. Scotch. Dunnage warehouse or a funky place. Not really getting marine notes or coastal things. But I don't know, it'll be hard to dissect it out. Ah, that's such a good smell. My nose is so unreliable. It doesn't give me ABV, it doesn't give me clues. about rye whiskeys. It doesn't give me lots of stuff I think it should. So when I'm doing blind tastings with friends, they always smell way more things than I do. So it's just one of my limitations. But the more things I smell, the more I keep a record in my brain, in my memory. So this is saying, to me, this is some kind of scotch with a Dunwich warehouse. Or one of those funky ones like Springbank or Campbellton. What are the other ones? Glen Scotia. Yep. That's what I'm thinking now, but my nose is the worst thing to go on. So I should really wait to taste it. And since I'm out of clues on my nose, I'll just go ahead and start in. Wow. There's some peat in there. There's some smoke, but it's light. It's integrated. It's just one of the notes. It strikes me as an Isla peat. This is not like Highland Park. Might be something like Talisker. Might be a Ben Romick. But the peat is way towards Isla. Interesting. But it's not strong enough to be one of the big Isla bombs. So it's definitely not Ardbeg 10 or Lafroig 10 or something like that. But the peat is unmistakable. It would be like 10% of the barley's peated or 20% of the barley's peated, just some small fraction. Definitely smoky and peaty, and the character is not like heathery peat from Orkney or Highland Park. Puts a little smoke in. And I know Talisker is partially peated, and Springbank does a little bit of peating, and it's an interesting note in there that doesn't always strike you as smoky or peated. Between the Dunwich Warehouse and the peating, Springbank always confuses me. There's always something to sort out there. So this is an interesting Scotch-like material with some good peat notes. It is definitely noticeable, but it's not the main thing. It's various. Otherwise, I'm getting malty, I'm getting salty, but I'm not getting the related marine notes. So salty things usually come along with oyster smell, seaweed smell, crabs and other little critters fluttering along on the sand on the beach, and driftwood that came up on shore, and all sorts of other things. And it smells like a seaweedy, rotting mess, iodine, shrimp, all sorts of smells that come in with those coastal things. This is not all that. This is just salt, which I'm not sure I've come across. Interesting. So if it's not a Scotch, I'm thinking maybe it's one of the Indian distilleries that is near a coast. And they like to play around with peat. So like Amroot Fusion is partially peated because it's part Scottish barley that's been peated. And I don't remember the peat they use. And it never really struck me as strong. This is stronger than the Amroot Fusion to my palate right now. So this is interesting. I'm not going to be able to guess it. It's way too many choices. So I'm thinking something near Campbellton. If it's a Scotch, maybe Talisker, but it doesn't. No, it doesn't have enough marine notes. Nope, 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 nope. And maybe Amrut or some other Indian distillery that's on the coast. I remember Paul John. I'm getting liquors and popes mixed up now. Paul John being salty and marine when I tasted it in one of these calendars last year. So we'll just have to see. And it could easily be from some other part of the world, but that's it. Let me do a little water. ABV on the palate is pretty normal. It's just a 43. I don't think it's up as high as 46. It's pleasant. It's easy to drink. Nothing off-putting about it. Even people that aren't fans of peat are going to find this fairly mild on that peat scale, smoky scale. It's a little water. It's still quite malty. Maybe a few marine notes are coming out now. It smells salty, and salt is not volatile, so just salt by itself shouldn't appear on your nose. But some of that character is popping up in there now. I don't know if the water released it or I'm just getting used to the spirit. Oh man, that's so good. I can tell the ABV went down. The flavors got more integrated. They usually get more separated and lined up so you can tell and dissect out the different flavors, but these just melded together even more than they were before. There were only a few notes. It's not real complex. Better palates might tell you about the complexity and all the different things that are in there, but this palate isn't. So that's my guesses, and it didn't change a whole lot with the water, so I'm just going to have to go read. And this is Talisker 10. Wow. So this is telling me that my Talisker 10 bottle is too old. It got so unpeated by sitting around a couple years. Yep, that's probably what happened. So this is a fresher Talisker 10, and the peat was strong. It reminded me of Isla. I sort of got some of the marine notes, but not a bunch of them. I was saying they weren't there. So this is so interesting. This was a decent punch of peat. I've been keeping my stuff too long. I have too many bottles open at once. That's the problem. Or I need more friends to come over and help me drink them. I don't want to do more than 3 or 4 ounces a day. My liver will be screaming. Okay, so there's the lesson. There's 2 or 3 different lessons, and this is 45.8% ABV. So that tells you something too. Yeah, my palate was okay on the ABV. It was okay on the smokiness. And I mishandled the marine notes. Okay, so you win some and you lose some. And we're about done on day 3 of this Whiskey Advent Calendar for 2019. So Merry Christmas to all of you.